Camille Proctor, a resident in the greater West Bloomfield area. She actually founded the Color of Autism Foundation to support African-American families navigating autism spectrum disorders. And with me right here live on The Splash, by the way, is the founder of Color of Autism Foundation, Camille Proctor. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, especially under such short notice. Just speaking on an incident that, unfortunate incident that hit West Bloomfield, we're just speaking on the matters of safety and caregiving for children with autism. With you being a parent of a child with autism, can you just speak to some of the safety guidelines that you put in parameters within your household for your child?
Yeah, it wasn't like everything like that. So I have to go back to some of the things that you're saying. And I know you asked me a specific question. Yeah, we did have to lock things. We did have alarms on all of the doors and the windows so that we knew when my son was an eloper. And this is something that we went through. This is a behavior. That behavior doesn't start overnight. And so what we do, our organization, is that we train parents on how to be responsive to the needs of their child. So because you can get all the alarms, all the trackers, all of the things, but it all kind of comes back to the behavior of them wandering and having these elopement tendencies. So when my son was an eloper, I didn't know these things. It was just like, he would leave, we'd hear the bell go off, and everybody runs into the subdivision looking for him. And we were lucky that way. But through my organization's advocacy, we learned that it is a behavior. And we work with parents to be data collectors on on their children's behavior, because they kind of tip you off when they're about to leave, And in regards to this family, I have to go back. It's a cultural thing. From what I understand,
okay.
The family, and I could be misinformed. I'm not going to say I'm fully informed. They were immigrants, and I facilitate a conference every year in West Africa. I've been doing it for 8 years. I do it in Nigeria and I do it in Ghana. And so when you look at underserved communities, there's a gross distribution of information. And so that's why the Color of Autism, we focus on training families, we focus on giving them the information, but we also focus on the cultural context of our families. We help everyone now. So we do help African American families. We help all families now, because every family is unique in the cultures and the things that they need to focus on within their households. And so when we talk about elopement, especially elopement, it's important to know, again, you need to have a plan. You need to watch the behaviors, because typically they do the same thing over and over again. It usually never changes. We used to call my son a detective because we had a lock on the door that had a keypad. He knew what the sequence was. So he knew to go bloop, 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 and be out the door.
Wow. So there are certain things that you have to pay attention to as far as habits, characteristics, and things of that nature when it comes to your child.
You have to be a detective. You have to watch them because they're watching you. Not only are they watching you, most of them don't forget anything. So they know your habits as well. So just like they know your habits, you should know their habits on when their behaviors become escalated, when they decide that they want to take a leisurely stroll out into the community. I mean, it's important to recognize these things, and it is important to have things like trackers and things of that nature, but a lot of kids won't wear them.
Right. No, go ahead. I'm sorry, please.
No, go ahead. I'm sorry for interrupting you.
No, you're fine. So that just brought up a few different things that I want to ask you very briefly, and don't want to hold up too much of your time. So one, I just want you to talk about, from your angle, how do you actually, a lot of fire departments say, go over a fire plan, an escape plan with your child. Now, with your child having some of those developmental issues, how do you actually go over an escape plan, an emergency plan with your child who are facing those issues?
It's easy, honestly. Even for a child that's non-speaking, you can do what we call a social story with pictures, saying, fire is hot. You can, and even when you go through the procedures, like, for example, I tell parents, you can light a candle. Don't put the child's hand near the candle, but you point to it and say, this is a fire. It's hot. It's warm. It's hot. If it's hot, we get on our bellies and we walk. Go through it with them, give examples of it, but do it in a story. Do it in a story. Make them, just because you don't speak, that doesn't mean you don't have anything to say and that you can't process. And that's why, I know the parents did the best that they could, but that's one of the reasons why my organization exists, so they can do the best that they can do. Because definitely locking everybody up when you go away is not the answer. And I really feel bad that they thought that was even an option, because there are organizations out here, not just mine, there's other organizations that have really dedicated themselves to the safety of autistic people.
Right, and I do want to speak on that. With me right here live on the Splash Bottle Way, founder of the Color of Autism Foundation, Camille Proctor, just talking about parenting a child with autism, going over escape plans and emergency plans and things of that nature. Now, just kind of landing the plane, kind of getting out of here, can you just talk about your organization, the Color of Autism, and how you all help out different local families as well?
So we're actually a national organization, and our focus is on training and information, because like I said, the biggest problems within underserved and under-resourced communities is that they don't have the information. And there's sweeping cuts in programs. So if you don't have a program, all you have is yourself. So we focus on building efficacy in families through teaching them, like I said, how to be responsive to their child's needs, how to be responsive to therapeutics they receive. We have a dad's support group where dads can go in and talk about some of the things they face. We have a general support group so that parents can convene. We have these 5-week quarterly trainings where we introduce parents to practitioners that they can speak to with taking the wall down, so they can be honest about their feelings and their fears. So we do all of this stuff for our parents for free. Everything that we offer is free. And again, I just urge parents, if you're in Michigan and you want to participate, you just go to our website, thecolorofautism.org. All of the information is on our programs page. We welcome you to join, because you need this information. If we want to build a community, and I have to say this, we need to be building a community by design. So inclusion is by design, right? And so in order for it to be inclusive, we have to be aimed with the information, especially parents, to be our child's first and best advocate. Because if we don't believe in them, we can't get the rest of the community to buy in to what we want. And we all have to face the reality is that we're not going to be on this earth forever. So we need to have a community that understands our loved ones' needs. So we're the first step to that. Thank you for having me.
Oh, no, I love that. That was a great message to end on. We appreciate you so much. Once again, from the Color of Autism Foundation, the founder, Camille Proctor, thank you again for your time.
Oh, you're welcome.